The visitors arrive. Once upon a time, in the heat and dust of a fertile plain near the Dead Sea, there lay two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. Their walls were strong, their streets wide, yet their hearts were heavy with sin. In the midst of this world, where the sun blazed like molten gold across stone and sand, there was a man named Lot, a nephew of Abraham. Lot had chosen to live near Sodom, enchanted by the lushness of the land, yet unaware of the darkness that lingered in its shadows. One evening, as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and deep purples, two strangers appeared at the city gates. They were angels, though cloaked in the simple guise of men. Their presence carried a quiet authority, a serene weight that made the bustling city pause, if only for a moment, unaware of the divine mission that accompanied these travelers. Lot, seated by the gate as was customary for men of his standing, saw them and rose to greet them. His voice was warm and insistent, "My lords, please, come to my house. Spend the night. Wash your feet and rest." He insisted, a mix of hospitality and urgency in his tone, sensing perhaps the importance of these visitors beyond mere mortals. The wickedness of Sodom. As night fell and the stars began to shimmer like diamonds scattered across black velvet, the city of Sodom grew restless. Word of the strangers' arrival spread swiftly, carried by whispers and curious eyes peering from the shadows. The men of Sodom, sinful and brazen, encircled Lot's home. Their intentions were vile, they desired to test the strangers' strength, to confront them with lust and violence. They called to Lot, demanding that he hand over his guests, mocking the sanctity of hospitality, a sacred code of that ancient world. Lot, his heart pounding, stepped outside to face the mob. The air was thick with heat, tension, and the foul stench of corruption. He pleaded with them, "No, my friends, do not act wickedly. These men are under my protection. I beg you, turn away." Yet the mob would not heed his words. The night grew tense, the flickering torchlight casting monstrous shadows on the walls, as if the city itself trembled at the moral decay it had embraced. The angels, sensing the peril, acted with swift authority. In a sudden, supernatural moment, they struck the crowd with blindness, leaving them staggering, confused, unable to find the doors they had entered. Panic erupted in their hearts, the city that once felt invincible now reeled under the invisible hand of divine justice. A warning and escape. The angels turned to Lot, their eyes calm yet filled with a warning. "Flee, for the Lord will destroy this city. Take your family and leave, lest you be consumed with the wickedness here." Lot, trembling yet resolute, ran to warn his sons-in-law, his daughters, his wife. But disbelief had rooted itself firmly in their hearts. They laughed at him, mocked his fear, and refused to leave, clinging to the life they knew, blind to the storm approaching. Lot, therefore, grasped the hands of his two daughters, leading them gently out of the city as the dawn began to pale the sky. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of dust and smoke from the city behind them, yet the danger was not yet fully visible. The angels urged haste, for mercy was swift but the time to escape was short. The fiery judgment. As the family reached safety in the nearby towns, a rumble deep and resonant began beneath the earth, like the growl of a sleeping giant waking from centuries of slumber. Then came fire, fierce and unrelenting, raining down from the heavens like molten tears of vengeance. Sodom and Gomorrah, the prideful cities, were consumed. Smoke rose from the valley as if the earth itself mourned, and the acrid scent of brimstone filled the air, a reminder of the cost of unrepented wickedness. Lot's heart ached as he watched the destruction unfold, yet he obeyed the angel's warning not to look back. His wife, however, overcome by longing and disbelief, glanced behind her. In that instant, she became a pillar of salt, frozen in time, a silent monument to the peril of divided loyalty, the danger of looking back when called to move forward in faith. The refuge of Zor. Lot and his daughters continued their journey until they reached Zor, a small town by the mountains, untouched by fire or wrath. Here they found shelter, the safety of a life preserved by obedience. The sun rose and fell, casting long shadows across the valley, and the memory of Sodom and Gomorrah lingered like a dark cloud on the horizon, a lesson carved into the land itself. In the quiet aftermath, Lot's daughters, fearful that their family line would perish, made a desperate and fateful choice. They led their father to drink wine and, in their fear and cunning, committed a grievous act to preserve their lineage. From this union were born Moab and Ammon, ancestors of nations, a bittersweet reminder of human fallibility, survival, and the complex ways providence works through flawed humans. Reflections and Lessons. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah, as recounted in Genesis 19, is more than a tale of fire and brimstone, it is a vivid narrative of morality, obedience, and divine justice. The city's destruction illustrates the danger of collective sin and moral decay. Hospitality, once sacred, had been mocked, and the violation of human dignity invited divine retribution. The angel's intervention reminds us that righteousness provides a shield in the face of evil, but one must act on that protection with faith and urgency. Lot's escape teaches several lessons. First, faith requires action, the warning was useless unless Lot obeyed. Second, the story of his wife warns of the perils of attachment to the past when the future demands courage and trust. Third, the desperate actions of Lot's daughters highlight human fear, the instinct to survive, and the consequences that arise when survival eclipses moral integrity. Above all, Genesis 19 beckons readers to observe the weight of human choices. It teaches that sin, when embraced collectively, can consume entire communities, yet mercy is extended to those who respond in obedience and faith. It also reminds us that divine justice is intertwined with opportunity, escape, repentance, and trust can preserve life, while stubbornness and disbelief bring ruin. In the end, the story is both a warning and a parable. It is a tale to see and hear, to feel the heat of fire and the terror of the night, to imagine the cities frozen in their final moments, and to carry forward the wisdom that righteousness, courage, and attentiveness to divine guidance are the pillars that preserve both life and soul.